Good afternoon. Welcome to what I like to call the most important part of the two-day summit, which is the aviation stream. It's the Connected Skies stream. It's the third year that we've had the Connected Skies element within the events that we do within the Catapult, and I'm delighted that you found time to come and listen to the speakers we have today. Just a hello to those people online as well. So we're live online, and hello to my colleagues in our offices across the UK. Big shout out to them. We've got a bit of a mix today. There's a lot that we've tried to cram in. We did have a day originally, now you've got 3 hours. So we're going to have a keynote speaker followed by 4 panels. There will be a tea break in the middle. I've been told you have to have the tea break, but that's the way that we're going to have. So we've got some really interesting, really exciting speakers, a lot of collaborators, a lot of shareholders, stakeholders rather, and partners that we have in the programs that we have in the Catapult. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. We are going to have questions, not for the keynote, but for the panels, and if we can use the Slido, and I believe the details are either on your badge, they'll be on the screen, and if you can do that, please, there will be questions within those sessions, so thank you. But without too much further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Nick Platts. Nick is the Managing Director of Luton Rising, and he's here to speak about airports as places.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
I think I might sit, if that's all right. And apologies to those online. You might see the top of my head more than the people in the audience, so that's okay. I'm used to those sort of jokes. But yes, I didn't want to sort of turn this into a treatise or paper on airport cities. So if you bear with me, I've got a story to tell you about the town where I'm working and supporting. And hopefully, as we weave our way through that story, there'll be some insights in there for you. And for us, Luton Rising is the company I work for, and for us it's all about the town, it's all about the place and how do we impact and influence what happens in the town. So a little bit of backstory on Luton Rising. We're a public airport company. We're owned by the council, it's our sole shareholder. So we work for the benefit of the town, and we consider ourselves a community-based airport. But that's not the whole story. That's not everything that we are. So as you'll see, we do a little bit of property development, and we have a number of development sites around the airport. I'll come to that in more detail shortly. We're a landlord. We've got some sites that we already operate and use around the airport. We provide infrastructure in terms of the DART. So for those of you who've been through Luton since March last year, you'll have travelled hopefully on the Luton DART, the direct air rail transit, which is the new people mover connecting the heavy rail station at Parkway with the airport itself. A bit of a game changer. So we built that ahead of expansion to provide us extra capacity and also a better customer experience before we get into it. So that's kind of us. We've been around since the late 80s, but really over the last 10 years is when we as a company have sort of started to take a bigger interest in what we're doing around the town. So we have a number of developments, as I mentioned, ranging from, I call it the bottom of the hill. So down near the Parkway station, we have a development site called Bartlett Square, which is planning permission. We have Morton House, which is being developed as a skills and innovation centre. And then up the hill, we have a number of sites culminating in the Green Horizons Park, which I'll talk about in a bit more detail. And apologies, I will need to refer to my notes because there were some killer stats I was going to give you, and they've just disappeared from my brain. So the company is not specifically focused on the airport. We are about placemaking. We are about recognising and leveraging the airport as an economic engine of growth for the region. So the council took a decision years ago to keep control of the airport, to keep ownership of the airport at a time when many other councils sold off part or all of their. Borough Council decided to keep the asset, and as it turns out, it was a very bold and wise decision, because over the years, with the changes in the automotive industry and the drawdown in the number of jobs and investment by the automotive industry in the town, and I won't mention names, but you know who, the airport became the biggest employer in the region. 28,000 jobs in the ecosystem coming from Luton Airport. So the council decided that it wanted to keep the asset and grow it, and in the late 90s, recognising that it needed to grow but it didn't have the resources to deliver that growth, we went into a concession agreement with the current operator. And so the airport management is being done by the concessionaire, and we're focusing instead on the airport city developments around the airport. And how do we turn the airport and those developments to face the town rather than turning our back on the town? And how do we develop a coherent master plan that joins all of the activity that's going on in the town? So there's £5 million worth of investment going into the town over the next few years. Some of that is going into the town centre redevelopment. Some of that is going into Power Court. For those of you who are football fans, you'll know what that is. And we estimate about £2 billion of that will be through the airport itself. We amplify the revenue that we get from the airport concessionaire, and we deliver social impact as a result of that. So our focus, we are the economic engine, or the airport is the economic engine, and it's no accident we take the money we get from the airport and reinvest that in these developments around. But in addition, the main purpose for Luton Rising is to deliver social value to the town. We can do things the council can't, and we have access to resources that the council doesn't. And so over the course of the concession, so since about 1998, we've delivered nearly £500 million worth of value into the town and the surrounding communities, either directly through the voluntary community sector, and that's somewhere around 180 million, increasing each year, and around 300 million of that is through the council itself. So we have a number of funding streams, and that value is delivered either through the council by providing them with cash for them to deliver frontline services, either directly by ourselves in terms of voluntary community sector donations, but also reinvestment in the assets that we have around the airport. The reason we do that is that there's significant social challenges facing the town. For those of you who don't know Luton, it's 225,000 people. Around about 55% of them are from diverse or ethnic minority backgrounds. Around about a third, a little over a third of our under 18s live in poverty, and around about a third of school-age kids go to school without having had breakfast. We're one of the worst areas in the country for deprivation. The funding gap between what central government gives us and the need is the second highest funding gap in the country. And so there are significant challenges being close to London, but not far enough away that people don't come to us. So we have a huge growth in need coming to the town. It's already arrived. The council delivers 750 services, frontline services, and that funding gap has gotten worse. So it is about creating a place where it uses its greatest asset, the airport, to help lift the town out of poverty. That's the vision for the town. By 2040, Luton is a fair and equitable town where nobody has to live in poverty. That's the objective, and we're the delivery vehicle to drive that. So we're leading the push in levelling up the town. So to get there, we need to expand the airport. Sorry, I've skipped a slide. So the airport expansion, for those of you who don't know where we are in the process, our examination with the planning inspectors closed on the 10th of February. We're now in a 3-month period where the inspectors will prepare their report for the Department for Transport. Early May, that will go to the Secretary of State, and then nominally they have 3 months to make a decision. I don't know of any airport DCO that's been decided in 3 months ever, so we don't expect a decision before the summer, and in reality we're probably looking at sometime early next year, about this time next year perhaps, we'll have a decision. What is it? Well, it's pretty straightforward and simple expansion proposal. We're at 19 million passengers at the moment. We're looking to expand to 32 million passengers, but we can do that with our existing runway. We don't need a new one, we don't need a longer one, we just need some taxiways, and there'll be some rapid exit entry taxiways onto the runway so we can make the runway more efficient. Taxiways around that to allow aircraft to move without getting congested, and some additional passenger handling facilities. That's it. Very simple, very straightforward, and we can deliver growth. And with that growth comes 11,000 new jobs, £1.5 billion of new economic development. We would say it fits very squarely in current government policy. It's making best use of our asset, and it's delivering value into the town, jobs. It achieves the levelling up agenda, and it helps drive towards our vision of no one having to live in poverty. So they're the snapshots, they're the numbers. We think around about 4,500 jobs in the town, but we're not going to expand at the expense of the environment. So we've been very clear from the beginning, and in fact we scaled back our expansion plans to make sure that we could deliver on our sustainability agenda. And within our expansion proposal we have a thing called a Green Controlled Growth Framework. It's first of its type in the UK. I've not heard of it happening anywhere else in the world, so perhaps arguably unique in the world, this Green Controlled Growth Framework. What is it? There are 4 elements that we're saying we will abide to legally held and independently assessed thresholds. And if the airport operator cannot demonstrate that by releasing capacity we can hold below those thresholds, then the capacity doesn't get released. So we will not grow if we can't prove to the independent body that we can do so in a sustainable way. And that's across carbon, air quality, noise and surface access. Those thresholds that we've set through the examination phase, if they were in place already, we wouldn't have grown to 18 million passengers in pre-COVID. We would have been blocked from doing so. But this is in the context that we are already ahead of the curve in terms of delivering improvements in noise and carbon at the airport. So last year, the airport operator was able to negotiate with the airlines, and in the summer months, Luton was the best performing airport in Europe for next generation aircraft in the fleet. 46% of the movements were by next generation aircraft. It was faster than we thought we'd get to that point. We knew it was coming, but it happened faster, and it was the best airport in Europe for doing that. So we're already delivering on quieter, cleaner aircraft, and we can see through those commercial negotiations that that trajectory will continue, layer in the legal obligations that we have through the DCO, and we can grow with a smaller noise footprint than we had in 2019. I'm running out of time, so I just wanted to sort of come back to this airport city concept. And what we're doing now is we are looking at our development opportunities and how do we move from the planning permission we have, which is for industrial commercial developments, into making places where people want to come and work. So we've got planning permission for hotels, offices, logistics warehouses. But from my experience in Riyadh, where we were developing a place for people to work, not a zone, an industrial site, this concept we're bringing to Green Horizons Park. We've pivoted from the original planning permission to become a science and innovation park with a mobility theme on long-term sustainability. We're targeting advanced manufacturing, R&D, perhaps some light assembly. But that mobility theme just recognises the place that we're in, the automotive history, the aviation history we have in the town and proximity to the airport. How do we capitalise on that history to create a place where people are happy to come and work? And we'll be looking to bring scale-up businesses into the town, because we know across the Golden Triangle, especially Cambridge and Oxford, there's limited space for companies to grow, and we're looking to provide that for them. You may not realise that Luton is at the heart of the Golden Triangle. We're the only international airport. We're the 5th largest commercial airport in the UK. You might miss us as you whiz past on the train, but I do encourage you to stop off, take the Dart up to the airport, grab a coffee. If you don't jet off to Mallorca or somewhere further afield, at least stop by, have a coffee. You'll be welcome. But it's important to us that we recognise where we are in the ecosystem, our place, our role in the town in terms of dealing and tackling with poverty and lifting people out of that situation. And the Science and Innovation Park, I'll talk more about at UK Reef, so there's a teaser. But for us, as I said, it's a shame I kind of ran out of time. We've got the old heavy rail. We've moved to an aviation theme. Aircraft aren't quite as old. The Dart is the new technology. But really what comes next is my question. And so I'm really looking forward to the next session to hear about air mobility, because we need to start planning for that. How do we integrate that air mobility into the airport, and how do we connect the airport through the power court growth that the football club are bringing into the town centre redevelopment, and how do we link all that together as a master plan for the town? And that's where being owned by the council helps, because we're integrated within the council in the conversation around bringing that joined up master plan together. So airport cities, depending on who you talk to, is either a new concept or an old concept. And for many of the people I talk to at council and surrounding areas, it's a new concept. So we have an opportunity to create a new version of airport cities and deliver something that's impactful, meaningful and long-term. And that's what we're looking to do. But that's it, so thank you. And sorry about no questions.